once again. I had to make a part two. I think we got cut off. Maybe I exceeded my limit. Let's see if we can finish up this podcast. We're almost there. We had just a little bit further to go. I think we left off talking about Argentina and other reserve currencies. Let's see, the highest number of Bitcoin bought in 2018 using Argentine pesos in a single week was 31 during the week ending on July 7th. And for the sake of comparison, Sweden has the 23rd largest GDP according to the IMF. Yet during the week ending on July 7th, many more Bitcoin, 112 to be precise, were traded for Swedish krona. According to Crypto Compare, Argentina is only the 45th biggest market in the world for Bitcoin. Sweden is the 31st. Despite having the 6th highest rate of inflation in the world. And as with Turkey, a big part of the explanation for this is that Argentina hasn't had strict capital control since 2015, when incoming President Mauricio Macri lifted the controls imposed by his predecessor, Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner, in 2011. Because of this, Argentines have access to U.S. dollars and other currencies, something which circumvents the need for cryptocurrencies as a store of value. Still, even without any recent jump in crypto trading or ownership, Bitcoin still has a noticeable presence in Argentina. Not only has an Argentine bank recently began using Bitcoin for cross-border payments instead of the SWIFT network, but the country was also one of the earliest adopters of Bitcoin during the period between 2011 and 2015. Even though capital controls were in place, as reported by Tom Jeffries in early 2016, Bitcoin was already accepted by 145 merchants in Buenos Aires alone and is now accepted by 194. Implying that the cryptocurrency wasn't simply a store of value, but also a method of payment. For many, the practical everyday uses of Bitcoin in a country like Argentina are the early lab tests of a radical financial overhaul that could have wider implications for the global economy. Grim scenarios. The lesson provided by all of the above examples is the following. Cryptocurrencies have a huge potential as alternative methods of payment and stores of value during financial crisis. However, as long as world reserve currencies such as the U.S. dollar and euro remain stable, and for as long as people of an unstable nation have access to such reserves, no cryptocurrency is likely to gain widespread adoption and use in that country, at least as a result of inflation. More simply, there will be no HyperBitcoinization as long as the U.S. dollar remains strong. As illustrated by CoinDance's numbers for markets on local Bitcoins, trading volumes are highest and rise the fastest in nations where there's very poor access to a reliable fiat currency. Consequently, what is needed to drive the mass adoption of crypto, in any one nation, isn't simply inflation, but also a shortage of dollars and stale foreign currencies. I think that's it for that particular article. This is part 2. And all this just goes to show that if you have a perfect storm of capital controls, lack of access to fiat currency, in addition to hyperinflation, more likely you're going to have the perfect environment for mass adoption of Bitcoin. Also, some notable examples that we're going to include in this article is going to be situations where countries like Japan, they have significant adoption, but no hyperinflation, no capital controls that I know of, and also they do have good access to other fiat currencies. China, on the other hand, has strict capital controls. They're trying to ban cryptos as much as possible, but the people seem to be trading Bitcoin on local Bitcoins.com and other under the table type of services. So they have a huge market and the black market for cryptos at the same time. But they do have economy that's gone through a transition of cash based over to cashless. So they're going to be they're going to be ripe for adopting mass adoption of Bitcoin, considering the ease of use that they're going to be encountering, as they already are going to be familiar and are familiarizing themselves with using barcodes and scanning techniques to transfer payments back and forth between merchants and stores, etc., etc. And then lastly, there's a nation that's been completely cut off by the banking system. We're going to include that in the article, and how they are dealing with a situation where you don't have access to the U.S. financial system, but at the same time, they are adopting other means of handling payments and having a store of value with their currency and a payment method at the same time. So that's going to be interesting. Anyway, as we like to say at the conclusion of every article, keep your eyes and ears open, and you guys stay safe out there. Okay, take care. Bye.